And now the second C, clear and constant communication. How important is communication when setting goals for the team? We say effective communication makes for an effective business. Joining us for this conversation is Prasanth Kumar, the Chief Executive Officer at GroupM. PK, welcome. We're going to talk about communication. You know, as with anything in life, communication is the key, they say, right? I mean, not just teams, generally speaking in life, in relationships, communication is the key. So, Ravi, we'll begin with you. We understand the importance of clear, effective communication. But one very important aspect to that is ability to listen. How important is listening?
If you look at the most successful people in whichever field you go by, sport, corporate culture, leadership at the top, whether it's even at government level, whether it's politics, the ability to listen is paramount. Some of the greatest names I can take. One of the greatest listeners I know from my sport was Sachin Tendulkar. He would be all like this, very little said, grasping everything, especially when someone starts that young, 15, 16, right up to 25. His ability to grasp at things, not interrupt the conversation, was unique. And 24 years in the game after that.
Sure. As a leader in the corporate world, how important is it to listen?
I totally agree. It's quite paramount. We often say we should do a feedback. A feedback could be from the point of defense, sometimes. But listening allows you to have a conversation also sometimes. So if you know more about it and you can ask some questions and then you know more about it, it just helps you to soak in more.
Now this question is to the both of you. What are the key tenets you think when it comes to effective communication?
Now in team culture, especially a country like India and a team like India, because of the diversity of our cultures, our country, the volume of people, which is more than any other cricketing. I mean, it's actually a total of all cricketing destinations, cricketing countries put together, multiply by 200 also, it won't come close.
Sure, of course.
Okay, so if you cannot communicate, you cannot make a guy feel to be on the same page if he's a junior with a senior. So when communication is strong and clear and crisp, that guy's body language will get up like this and he will be able to look him in the eye. So the quicker that happens, the better the team plays.
And now you speak of diversity, there are people who come from different spaces, different places, different mindsets. How do you communicate with a team like that comes from, in the corporate world, everybody sort of, they've studied the same kind of thing. They're all there because here in cricket, people from all over the country are thrown together. How do you communicate effectively with them?
Very effectively is one-to-one. Yet at the same time, in a combined, when there's a proper team meeting in a dressing room, you just pick up that guy and tell him straight, this is the senior, this is the junior, do not be afraid. You have the direct from command, from the top management, to go and speak to anyone here. And if someone refuses or there's a problem, come to me as coach. As simple as that. So you get him out of his complex, shake the hell out of him and tell him, Tagda ho ja. Or once he's Tagda and fearless at a young age, then he won't he's not bothered about anything.
Is there any example of any cricketer, for example, who was, a little bit on the back foot to begin with, and then just constant good communication, a good rapport just built him up and gave him quiet confidence?
I think there are so many. If you look at the Indian team of the last 5-6 years, the way they've evolved to reach the top and stay at the top. Ability can take you to a certain level. It's character that keeps you there. So, that comes with communication, building that confidence in the youth. So, it rubs off from each other. When a young cricketer who comes into the team sees, say, a Virat Kohli, or sees a Jasprit Bumrah who's just started and in 2 years is making it big.
Yes.
They look at those qualities and then they're rubbing shoulders with those same guys.
Yes.
So they feel, I'm not lacking anything. I'm growing. So, anyone who comes in is bound to grow when the environment in the team is like that.
PK, coming to you, in the corporate world, what are the key, the diktats as far as, good, clear, solid, effective communication is concerned?
Now, if we just rewind 2 years back, where we were in pandemic, I think every corporate had the biggest challenge. When he said the best communication is one-on-one, which I agree, but we couldn't even see each other. I think this was a kind of an out of syllabus for everybody, right? For last 100 years.
Nobody had a clue how to
what is
navigate this one, yeah.
Today, I feel that everybody has had their own lessons of how this has actually got improvised. Because what is also happening is the teams changed, right? We're having a situation where some of the old members are, they're just moving on. Some of the new members are coming in.
Yes.
Right. So, to all of us, and I can tell you a few of this which really helped us, right, and which I saw, which got inspired from many of the other corporates, right. So I think it's very easy to go and talk the what and how, what to do, how to do, which is what most of the communication people do. But if you're able to add the purpose, right, the why, it just helps the person to get it much more clear, right. And if you're able to share things, if you're able to simplify it, and make it always a consistent thing, then you're just always with the person in telling what's happening, what's the simple way of looking at what, how, and again remind the purpose. It just and keep in touch always. So I think these 4 aspects become very, very useful, right? And that's exactly what happened in the last 2 years, for all of us.
Great point, PK touched on there. Cricket had not seen anything like this since the Second World War. So, the question you're asking, Mandira, is communication. So, my style of communication with the players had to change. There had to be a lot more empathy involved, rather than exactly what PK is saying, do this, don't do this,
yes,
expect this, want this. So, I realized that if I'm going to go down that line and expect results straight away, it ain't happening. Plus, you could push them down a hole from where they'll never come back. Because the difference was in places like Australia and all, they were allowed to go out. We roam around in parks, do things a lot quicker, or right through the pandemic. In India, a lot of the boys were locked up in flats for six months, couldn't get out. So you had to then mentally play on their minds and tell them, take your time. Take your time. No one is expecting anything in a hurry. So that sort of communication then becomes
one had to really improvise over these last 2 years.
You had to improvise, yeah.
Nobody has seen what
that's right.
The world has seen in the last 2 years, and people who are used to working in teams suddenly are now isolated, and yet have to feel a part of the collective.
In fact,
and that's a very difficult thing to instill.
Right. In fact, some of it still continues because it's probably got more complex because you are in person at the same time one of your colleagues is on a video call. That's what is happening.
Yeah, there's a new term for it now. It's called hybrid.
Exactly.
Because we've got half of the people here in person and half of the people virtually sort of joining in. And we have hybrid events and we have hybrid meetings. But you touched upon it briefly. But does clear and effective communication promote a positive, like, team culture and transparency? Would you say?
Definitely transparency. Important thing what communication, clear communication does, it allows the personality to express himself.
Yes.
You don't want in sport a player to be holding within.
Sure.
He's got to come out and express himself. It's a live profession, you're playing in front of people. You can't be, within yourself.
Of course.
Come out, you've got the stage, but that will come with clear communication.
The only aspect which I would like to add is the more authentic you are, it just helps the other person to believe you more, right? And you can do that, you have to have the courage to tell what it is, right? You got to inspire the team, right? You have to somewhere get the collectiveness and get the accountability also, right?
How important is an individual rapport in the corporate setup with a team leader and his team?
We are in an era where everybody looks for progress, right? Everybody is ambitious. We're in an era where we need to be more ambitious about our colleagues that they themselves are, right? I think that shows a lot of leadership, right? and communication is about leadership, right? So definitely it's very important, and the rapport is very critical. The more you're able to contribute, the more authentic you are. I think you get the best out of people when you're able to demonstrate that.
Individual rapport, what does it do to the morale of the dressing room? You know, when the leader has an individual connection with each and every member of the team.
Oh, massive. You know, then there's no gap to really bridge. You know, then you know the team will go out and give their everything. There's no one insecure. Everyone knows they're on the same page. You know, whether his name is Virat Kohli or whether his name is Rishabh Pant just making his debut. You know, they both know they're on the same page, and they go out and play like one. You know, when you see a team out there and you feel that there's no senior junior, they're all one. That's when you feel communication has been at its best.
And my final question to the both of you is, how do you effectively instill the message of the common good or the goal of the team as opposed to individual, as opposed to self?
Just take the word I out.
There is no I in
There
team.
is no I. There are no prima donnas. It's team culture. You can keep your superstar status at home, but when you get out there in the middle.
Have there been some cases where there's the superstar status and there are these young, there are these young guys who come in and they're really, they're thinking about their career advancement, they're thinking about that 100 or that 50 or those many wickets they want to take. I mean, have you seen examples like this where you've sort of needed to cut them down to size?
Oh yeah, plenty. You know, you
and
would
say,
see,
you know what, this is not I, this is we.
There's nothing wrong in what you're doing. But as long as it's catered to a team win,
Yes.
we're happy with that. As a coach, I can't be pleasing everybody.
Sure.
Sorry.
Of course.
You know, you're going to be on the wrong side of the stick, even with the individual. He might go back to his room and give all the galis in the world. He has to give me. I said, be my guest. As long as it's at the end of the day, the penny drops and you're doing stuff that is related to team culture and following the principles that a team needs for us to win, I'm happy with that.
But it doesn't stop people from wanting that individual glory and that individual
definitely.
gain.
So there is a lot of while the conversation may put more responsibility on the individuals, I think there's a lot of responsibility to the corporates also, right? And that's about recognizing people, right? That's about recognizing the effort. But if you're able to motivate, if you're able to again remind about the collective purpose, and there is a space for everybody to perform well, right? In fact, both communication and the authenticity drives performance, right, for each of them. And people grow during their job, people grow within their career, right?
Sure.
And we should allow them to learn from the mistakes, right? And it's okay. I mean, we have also done it probably, but the faster we learn, the faster they make mistake. I think the area to learn faster. Right? So that's how it happens.
Well, I think this was a lovely segment because I listened a lot and there was some reasonably effective communication there. I'm sure our viewers will have a lot to take back from this one. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.